We call them tools because, like a hammer that you might use to build a house, and yet you wouldn't want to try to build the house without the hammer, but when you're done, you built the house, not the hammer. And so these are tools that literally open a doorway, create a pathway to higher vibrational realms. Like, they are not simple at all in their construction, and it's taken us many, many years to divine all the different aspects that go into the things that we build. There are different antenna systems, different mineral mixtures, different chemicals that we work with, actual frequency generators inside each one of these pieces that vibrate at certain very high vibrational rates. And all of this combined with even the patterns you see on the surface, as I was explaining to Jeff the other day, it's like when you have a form like Metatron's cube, it is able to access higher dimensional realms. But when you try to do this with a 2D picture of this, you run into some difficulty. So what we found is that by taking essentially a snapshot from the point, so this view, and then you take an edge view, and then you take a face view, you have three different geometries that when you combine them in a circle on a non-conductive background, and you work with conductive material, like we use copper and gold in our pendants, what happens is you're able to create a three-dimensional analog in 2D that will pick up on higher dimensional energies. And when Gail was talking about the heart, many of you have heard stories about what HeartMath is doing, and they are able to measure the field of the heart and find that it's generating a very large electromagnetic field. And yet, the heart is not the source of, when we say come from the heart, we're really supposed to be using, I think, a different preposition, which is come through the heart, because your consciousness is located not in your brain and not in your heart, but in this vast field that is part of the universal field all around us. And that's the higher part, the 98% of you that's unseen, just like the unseen part of the iceberg. And so that's the part we refer to as soul when it moves to the very highest vibrational levels, at the level of creation. And so when you are operating from that perspective, you can come through the heart into your brain and operate your brain, into your body, operate your body, and you're able to look at it as if you were up on the edge of a valley looking down into that valley from the mountaintop. And you can see where you're going more clearly. You can discern the problems ahead more quickly. You can let go of things more easily because you don't take them so personally. Because you're here, and that body, this character that's flapping around here in this dimension is just your puppet. It's not a real character. It's going to die one of these days, but you will keep on living. That real you that needs to start to connect to this personality now in this lifetime. And if you're connecting in this lifetime, you'll be able to hold that field into future lives, other lives, and make a difference in the world right now for the good of all.
So you remember this in class as the soul infused personality. I mean, we clearly haven't done it as eloquently as Gregory just did it, but that's the kind of stuff that where you start to realize your brilliance, your power. And remember the phrase, if you had any idea how brilliant you were, you would bow at your own feet. So part of this process, part of this whole whole game plan is to wake people up to the brilliance of which they are, what they are. Now, Gail and Gregory and I did a meditation yesterday using a whole bunch of the tools that was very, very profound, and we're seeing if we can corroborate or collaborate on how we can next do it for you in the lamasery. There's the majesty of this stuff, the heightened awareness, and literally, as Gregory just pointed out, there's a brilliance that we barely scratched the surface on, and we want to share that with you. And we have, remember Tesla in many of his talks, he talks about the whole universe is attuned to a certain frequency, and as you become better attuned to it, you can plug into it. And so this is a very important time in our evolutionary process, and it's something that we are collaborating with all over the place. And it just happens that the synchronicity and the serendipity of this of our time together is it just makes our hearts sing, and we wanted to share that with you.
I love the word collaboration. It's in a lot of ways it's something that we haven't seen a lot of on this planet. We've seen how we've been brought up, we've been groomed not to learn how to work together, but to learn how to work in opposition to each other, how to create conflict. And this new way of collaborating, co-creating, is taking us to a place of unity. This dimension has had separation, fear, all kinds of things that have kept us disempowered and in a state where truly we can be manipulated. And that's not who we are. That's not what's really in our foreplay. We're here to shift out of that and to create unity. Well, what does it mean to create unity? It's not just we all can put our arms around each other and say, oh, isn't this wonderful? We're just doing great together. We all have issues. We have things that we are bringing to the table. And unity in this time is about how we bring compassion, understanding, illumination, awareness to the set of circumstances so that we can be together in higher awareness, in greater consciousness. And that takes work, it takes diligence, it takes being in that forefront of being a spiritual warrior, ready for the next opportunity, not knowing what's going to happen next. But it doesn't matter, because as empowered beings, we co-create. We are able to impact what's going on. And so this whole new paradigm of unity is something that is going to kind of shake a lot of the dirt out, and as that happens, as the light becomes stronger, we see more of, what's happening that just seems like, wow, that's not okay. And so being able to see it with compassion, asking the question, what do we do to take our next steps? What do we do to heal the situation? What do we do to heal ourselves and the karma, the levels of being that we have been through? And recognize that we are in process. This is an evolutionary, extraordinary time where we are able, as empowered, loving, and compassionate beings, to come back together and create that synergy and the ability to know just what we're here for. How creative and profoundly amazing we all are when we work together.